Leroy almost lost his temper. What are you getting at? The doctor sighed. I don't know how to say this, but something is not right. Your sons are not blood related. Amira clutched her ears, shaking. What? Amira and Leroy had been married for 8 years. Both were successful. Leroy ran a thriving tech company, and Amira was a sought after architect. They had everything a couple could wish for: wealth, love, and respect. But the one thing that eluded them was a child. They had visited countless hospitals, seen the best specialists, and undergone every test. Yet the results were always the same. You are both fine. Just wait, it will happen, the doctors would say. Leroy never allowed the pressure from his family to affect Amira. He was always her shield, defending her whenever his mother or relative hinted at her inability to conceive. But that evening was different. Amira had just returned from work, exhausted but relieved to be home. As she stepped towards the front door, she heard raised voices inside. She paused, her heart pounding. Leroy was yelling at his mother. You need to stop this, Mom. His voice was sharp, filled with frustration. Stop what, Leroy? His mother snapped back. Stop worrying about my only son? Stop telling you the truth? 8 years, Leroy. 8 years of waiting. And what has she given to you? Amira is my wife, and I love her. Whether we have a child or not, that does not change anything. Leroy's voice cracked with anger. Love? His mother scoffed. Love doesn't give you an heir. Love doesn't continue your lineage. Your mates have children running around their homes while you sit here defending a barren woman. Amira felt the air leaving her lungs. Enough! Leroy shouted. If you cannot respect my wife, then don't come here anymore. His mother gasped. You dare speak to me like this because of a woman? Amira stood frozen at the door, silent tears rolling down her cheeks. She had heard enough. Swallowing her pain, she wiped her tears, straightened her posture, and pushed the door open with a bright, fake smile. Good evening, Mama, she greeted sweetly, as though she had not just heard her soul being ripped apart. Her mother-in-law turned sharply, her face twisted in anger. So, you finally showed your face, she said as she gave a hiss. Amira ignored the hostility and walked towards her husband for a hug, craving his warmth. Before she could reach him, his mother grabbed her by the arm, yanking her backward. Then came the slap, a hot, stinging slap across Amira's face, so forceful that she stumbled and fell to the ground. Leroy stood in shock. Mama! He roared. His mother folded her arms. Maybe that will reset her womb, she said. Amira slowly pushed herself off the floor, her vision blurred with tears. Leroy rushed to her, but before he could hold her, she stepped back. Amira, please, he pleaded, but she shook her head. Without another word, she turned and ran out the door. Amira barely registered her surroundings as she hailed a cab. Her mind swelled with pain, anger, and humiliation. By the time she arrived at Benjamin's small apartment, her best friend, she was already shaking. Benjamin opened the door, surprised to see her. Amira, what happened? He stepped aside to let her in. She didn't answer. She just walked in, sank into his couch, and burst into tears. Benjamin sat beside her, rubbing her back gently. It's okay. Just breathe. Breathe. She tried, but the sobs kept coming. Was it Leroy? He asked softly. She shook her head. No, his mother. She hit me. Benjamin's jaw clenched. That woman is a maniac, he said. Amira wiped her eyes. I can't go. I can't go back tonight, Benjamin. Then don't, Benjamin said firmly. Just then, he glanced towards the bedroom. He had a guest waiting, but he couldn't leave Amira like this. I'll make you some tea, he said, standing up. Let me just go and make you some tea, okay? So that you calm down. Thank you, she whispered. Benjamin returned with a big t-shirt and handed it to her. Change into this. Get comfortable. You can stay as long as you need, he said. Amira took the shirt and nodded. I'll just use the guest room. She changed, sipped the warm tea, and lay down, her mind still in turmoil. As she drifted into an uneasy sleep, she wondered, was this the breaking point of her marriage? Just then, she slept off. The next morning, Amira woke up with a loud scream. Benjamin, still half asleep, jumped up in panic. He grabbed the nearest object, a shoe, and charged towards the bed. Where is it? Where is it? I will kill it, he shouted, looking around wildly. Amira blinked at him in confusion. Kill what? Benjamin's eyes darted around the room. The snake or whatever attacked you. She stared at him for a moment before shaking her head. Nothing attacked me, Benjamin. Benjamin took a deep breath, rubbing his forehead. Then, why did you scream like that? Amira hesitated, then looked at him seriously. Benjamin, what happened to me last night? Did you drug me? Benjamin stepped back, shocked. What? Amira, how can you even say that? Why would I ever drug my best friend? Amira sat up, pulling the blanket over herself. I don't know. You tell me. Or better still, explain why I woke up naked. Benjamin's face dropped. His eyes widened in realization. Oh my God, that's why you screamed like that? Ha! He ran his hands through his hair, his voice shaking. Amira, I swear on my life, I didn't touch you. I didn't drug you. We have been friends for years, and I have never seen you that way. You are like a sister to me, and all I have ever done is fight for you and defend you. Amira washed his face, his expression, searching for any sign of deception. He looked genuinely hurt. After a long pause, she sighed. Maybe I just got too hot last night and took off my clothes in my sleep by myself. Benjamin exhaled in relief. Well, maybe, but I promise, nothing happened. She nodded. Thank you for always being by my side. She got up and got dressed, preparing to leave. When she picked up her phone, she realized the battery was dead. With a sigh, she grabbed her charger, plugged it in for a few minutes, and then left, returning back home to her husband. As she stepped into her home, she found Leroy kneeling in the middle of the living room. His eyes were red, his face full of regret. Amira, I am so sorry. She stared at him, surprised. It's not your fault, Leroy. You have always defended me. It's fine. Stand up. Leroy slowly stood, searching her eyes for any sign of anger. Suddenly, they rushed into each other's arms, kissing passionately. Without another word, they moved upstairs, making love as if trying to erase the pain of the past. A few weeks later, Amira started feeling sick. At first, she ignored it, but the constant nausea, dizziness, and strange cravings were becoming too much. Then one morning, as she stood in front of the mirror, brushing her hair, it hit her. She hasn't seen her period in over a month. Her heart pounded. Could it be? She rushed to the pharmacy, bought a pregnancy test, and took it immediately. Positive. Her hands trembled as she whispered, 9 years. before collapsing onto the floor. Hours later, she woke up in the same spot. She sat up slowly, whispering to herself, "Am I dreaming? Am I dreaming? I don't want to wake up." Her hands shook as she crawled towards the pregnancy test. She picked it up, staring at it with wide, unbelieving eyes. No, no, this can't be real. She ran back to the pharmacy and bought 20 more tests. Each one came back positive. She screamed, then quickly covered her mouth, holding her stomach and whispering to herself, "I need to stop screaming. I don't want to hurt my baby." Grabbing her bag and her car keys, she walked out like a 9-month-old pregnant woman, whispering to herself, "I have to be careful. I don't want to hurt my baby." She drove straight to the hospital. A blood test confirmed it. Tears streamed down her face as she drove to a baby shop. Standing in the middle of the shop, she sobbed, crying profusely. Finally, finally, I am about to be a mother. One of the attendants approached her. "Ma'am, are you all right?" Amira wiped her eyes, smiling. "Yes." She immediately started baby shopping, buying diapers, clothes, and toys. That evening, Leroy came home and froze at the sight before him. Baby items were scattered everywhere. His wife was dancing, cuddling a teddy bear. "Honey, what's going on? Why are there baby items everywhere? Who gave birth?" Amira turned and grinned. "You did, silly." Leroy blinked. "Me? When? How? I swear to God, I don't have any child outside." She giggled. "What about inside?" she asked. "Inside? Me? Inside?" he repeated, confused. She handed him the pregnancy strips and the lab results. His hand shook as he looked at them. His mouth opened, but no words came out. Then suddenly, he started choking. Amira ran to get him water. "Are you okay?" she asked. He gulped the water, then put on a forced smile. "Yes, yes, I just needed a moment." Then, out of nowhere, he let out a loud booming laugh. He lifted Amira in the air, spinning her around. "Finally, we are going to be parents." They celebrated with friends and family. Even Leroy's mother came forward, apologizing for all the harsh things she had done and said to Amira. Months later, and they found that they were expecting twins. The joy was overwhelming. They threw a lavish baby shower, the talk of the town. Guests were amazed by the decorations, the grand buffet, and the expensive gifts. Months later, and Amira gave birth to two handsome boys. But something was off. One of the babies had bright green eyes. Leroy's family whispered among themselves. There were no green eyes in their lineage. Leroy, as always, defended his wife. Genetics can be unpredictable. It doesn't have to be generational thing. The doctor backed him up, explaining rare genetic mutations. Life moved on. 2 years later, and Amira was cooking when her phone rang. Her heart stopped when she heard the voice on the other end. "Your son has had an accident. He hit his head. He needs emergency care." She grabbed her car keys, calling Leroy on the way. At the hospital, the principal met her. "Where is my son?" she demanded. "Inside, ma. The doctor is examining him now." Minutes later, and the doctors called her into his office. The office was filled with medical books, white walls, and a single ticking clock. The doctor's voice was calm but serious. "Your son has suffered severe head trauma. He has lost a lot of blood. We need to operate on him fast." Amira nodded quickly. "Do whatever you have to do, doctor. He needs blood. And for that, we need to check if your blood matches before the transfusion." Minutes later, and the doctor returned. I am sorry, Miss Leroy, but your blood doesn't match. Amira's breath caught in her throat. Soon, Leroy arrived with their other son, and Amira gave him details of all that had happened and all the doctor had said. So, they needed to try his blood to make sure he was also a match before donating blood to his son. They tested his blood and he was not a match. Leroy called his family members. Since Amira was an only child and an orphan, he called his family members to also get them tested to see if any of them would match with his son in order to donate blood. But still, none of them was a match. Then the doctor suggested testing the twin brother. After all, they are twins, just that due to they are still young, if he gets tested and donates blood to the elder one, then they will have to put him under special care to make sure he doesn't fall sick. They got tested, and soon the doctor came back looking strange at the result. He turned to the couple and asked, "Are they really twins?" "Yes," Amira replied. "Yes, of course. Yes, they are." The doctor hesitated. "Are you sure?" Leroy almost lost his temper. "What are you getting at?" The doctor sighed. "I don't know how to say this, but something is not right. Your sons are not blood related." Amira clutched her ears, shaking. "What?" She closed her ears and scratched them a bit, then asked the doctor to explain better. He then said, "I don't know what is going on here, but I think we might have to do a DNA test and find a way to donate blood to him ASAP, else he's going to fall into a coma." Few hours later, and the DNA result came out with both husband and wife sitting tensed on the doctor's office as he break the news. "I'm sorry, but your sons are not blood related. They are twins, yes. They are from the same mother, yes, but not of the same father." Amira fainted, and just then, Leroy's mother had come to the hospital to see her grandchild when she was directed to go to the doctor's office to meet her son and find out more about the situation of things. So, she was at the door when the doctor broke the news and she screamed and also fainted. What do you think happened to Amira's baby? And who is responsible for her misfortune? Stay tuned for part 2.